is the headquarters of the Templars. Remember, where was the Templars' headquarters to begin with? The Temple Mount of Jerusalem. That's why we call them the Templars, because they are the Knights of the Temple. That's what they call themselves. Their headquarters is there. 1187, they lose the Battle of Hattin. Saladin takes Jerusalem. Saladin expels them from the Temple Mount and restores it as the Haram al-Sharif and converts it back to an Islamic mosque. When the Templars had converted the Dome of the Rock into a church, they plastered the whole thing and painted frescoes of the history of the temple on it. We have descriptions of these, narrative descriptions. Okay. Templars are expelled, but this city is recaptured by the Crusaders, and they set up their headquarters there. The Hospitallers set up their headquarters up here, the Templars do it down here. They had a complex here that was very similar to the one we went through, but there's nothing left of this. If you look out, see that water break, those stones out there, that was the edge of the Templar complex. It extended into the city as well. Okay, so here's their headquarters. For the next 100 years, they're headquartered here. It's 1293 now. The Crusaders have lost everything in the Holy Land except the city of Acre. The Mamluks are gathering together the largest army they've ever fielded, tens of thousands of men. I think they have 200 siege engines. These are stone-throwing machines. They massed up against the walls, and it was disaster for the Crusaders, right? I mean, they knew they were finished, but they held out and fought to the last man. So they bust through the walls, they come charging in, and everybody in the city starts to flee because the Mamluks are smashing these walls down. All of the people came down to the port area here to escape, and basically, there weren't enough boats to take people. The boats were fleeing and going to the island of Cyprus, which is out that way. A couple days sail. All right? The people come to the boats, and how do you decide who gets on the boat? Well, obviously the rich guys get on the boat, the poor guys don't get on the boat. But there was one guy named Roger de Fleur, who was a Templar who had been kicked out and excommunicated from the Templars for being a jerk. He had a boat. Only fit maybe 20, 30 people. But his price was, you want a seat on my boat? Everything you own. You give me everything you own, I'll save your life and take you to Cyprus. And he did it for all the richest guys. So the richest guys escaped, but they were, saved their lives, but were penniless. Roger de Fleur made a huge fortune and founds a mercenary company called the Catalan Company, based from Catalan in Spain, and wandered around for 20 years plundering the Byzantine Empire and being a pirate and so forth. But he made this fortune by essentially charging everybody all their money to get off the Acre. Okay, so it's a huge disaster. The Templar have this massive castle here, and everybody who can't get on a boat flees into the castle. It's completely packed with people, wall-to-wall people. They're all screaming and wailing. I mean, the Mamluks are coming. The Mamluks come up to the castle wall, and they set up their siege engines out here, and they start pounding it with siege engines. Okay? And the thing is literally shaking when the stones hits it. You can tell the thing's about to fall apart. So finally the Templars cut a deal. Look, let us go with our lives. We'll leave all our property. Just let the people go with their lives. Don't enslave them. Let us walk away and we'll surrender. So that was the Templars' deal. And the Mamluks say, okay, we'll do it. They open the gates, and the Mamluk soldiers come in and immediately start raping the women and dragging off the people to sell them as slaves. Now, they did this against the orders of the king, but, this was their plunder, right? They wanted these. So the Templars start fighting back again, and they kill the Mamluks, they close the gates, and the siege continues, all right? And the battle goes on. The Grand Master of the Templars, who was the commander of them, he was wounded so badly he couldn't stand up. And for the last battle, they sat him down in a chair, and he held his sword in his hand, sitting in a chair in the battle line, because he refused to surrender. So they had this huge battle, and finally they break through the gates. The Mamluks start pouring in, but the castle had been so weakened by the shelling, by this constant bombardment of stones. You saw those giant catapult stones, right? It had been so weakened that the added weight and the structural disruption caused the whole thing to collapse, and it buried everybody. All the people died, all the Templars died, and all the Mamluk warriors around it died. The whole castle simply collapsed into rubble. And that's what happened here. And they've cleared away the stones now. It's all gone. But you can see out in the bay here, fragments of some of the stones of the last tower. So this was the end of the Crusades. The last Crusader city was taken. It ends in this huge disaster. And some of the people escaping to Cyprus, but basically the Crusaders never came back. That was in 1293, and that was the end of Acre. The Mamluks said, we're going to destroy this city because we don't want the Crusaders to return. So they just leveled it to the ground. They took the church of St. Andrew, which was the patron saint of the city, they took it to pieces, and they took it back to Cairo and rebuilt it as a mosque for the tomb. And I walked by there in Cairo when we were there. We walked by, and you can see this medieval Gothic building that's the church from here that they took back to Cairo and rebuilt as a triumph thing. Okay? So, They destroyed the city because they wanted to divert the trade to Alexandria, which they controlled. That was their big port city. So they said, no more trade through this city. You want to trade, you go to Alexandria, you go to Tyre, but Acre's finished, and the Crusaders can never return. And they didn't. And it wasn't, it kind of remained a fishing village up through, the 18th century when it was renewed by Al-Jazar, and now is, back in as a major city. Okay, any questions? Comments? Anybody? Okay, you're free to go. Remember, 2 o'clock. At the bus.
Thank you to Hamblin, okay? Way to go. A lot of work. Thank you.
Hambo, you rock. Oh, well, he was here.